The conference room smelled like burnt coffee and stress. 9 employees sat around the long table. Laptops open. Charts ready. And at the head sat Daniel Harper, Regional Operations Manager. 45. Sharp suit. Sharp voice. He clicked the projector remote. A graph appeared on the wall. Quarterly growth projections, he said. The team nodded. Then Daniel paused. And before we continue, his eyes moved across the room. They stopped on Maya Carter. She sat halfway down the table, hands folded on a tablet. Young. Calm. Quiet. Daniel sighed loudly. Maya submitted a new forecast model this morning. Several heads turned. Maya didn't move. Daniel leaned back. I reviewed it. A beat. Then a thin smile. It shows promise. Another pause. But it also shows something else. The room grew still. Daniel tapped the table. A lack of maturity. A few awkward laughs. Someone coughed. Maya slowly lifted her eyes. Daniel continued. Business forecasting isn't a college project. His voice sharpened. It requires experience. Silence filled the room. Lena, a senior analyst, shifted uncomfortably. Daniel clicked the remote again. Let's move forward with the real numbers. The slide changed. Maya's model disappeared. Just like that. Dismissed. But something strange happened. The conference screen flickered. Then it refreshed. A new message appeared across the slide. Model under executive review. Daniel frowned. What is this? The screen updated again. A corporate logo appeared. And one line beneath it. Submitted to Corporate Strategy Department. The room went silent. Daniel's jaw tightened. Because only one person in the room could have done that. And she was still sitting quietly. Watching. The conference room lights hummed softly. 9 employees sat around the table. Keyboards tapped. Coffee cups steamed. At the head sat Daniel Harper. He adjusted his tie. Let's begin. The projector flickered to life. Charts filled the wall. Revenue trends. Client growth. Quarterly projections. Daniel pointed at the graph. Standard model shows 6% growth. He nodded with confidence. Safe. Predictable. Then he paused. And before we move forward, his eyes shifted across the table. They landed on Maya Carter. She sat quietly, tablet in front of her. Youngest in the room. New hire. 3 months in the department. Daniel folded his arms. Maya submitted an alternative model this morning. A few heads turned. Lena looked over. Maya didn't react. Daniel sighed loudly. I reviewed it. He tapped the remote. A new chart appeared. Bright. Aggressive. 22% projected growth. Someone whispered. That's huge. Daniel smiled thinly. Yes. He walked toward the screen. It is ambitious. His voice slowed. But ambition isn't strategy. He turned toward Maya. Forecasting requires maturity. Silence spread across the room. Maya felt every eye shift toward her. Daniel continued. This isn't a college classroom. His tone sharpened. Business decisions require experience. No one spoke. Lena shifted in her chair. Daniel clicked the remote again. The chart disappeared. Let's continue with the approved projections. The meeting moved on. Slides changed. Numbers blurred. But Maya barely heard them. Her hands rested calmly on the table. Inside, her thoughts moved faster. Same pattern. Dismiss the idea. Dismiss the person. Move on. When the meeting ended, chairs scraped the floor. Employees filed out quietly. Lena stayed behind. She walked over. You okay? Maya packed her tablet slowly. I'm fine. That was rough. Maya shrugged. It happens. Lena lowered her voice. For what it's worth, your numbers looked right. Maya looked at her. You really think so? Honestly? Lena nodded. Yes. Maya smiled slightly. Good. Lena frowned. You're not even upset. Maya slipped the tablet into her bag. Being underestimated can be useful. How? Maya checked her phone. A notification blinked. New email, corporate strategy. She opened it. Her eyes scanned the message. Lena watched her expression change. What is it? Maya turned the screen slightly. Lena read the first line. Your forecasting model has been received and opened by Corporate Strategy Analytics. Lena blinked. Wait. Her voice dropped. You sent your model to corporate? Maya nodded once. Last night. Lena stared at her. You knew Daniel would reject it? I suspected. But corporate? Maya zipped her bag. Numbers deserve to be seen. Lena exhaled slowly. You're either very brave. She paused. Or very dangerous. Maya stood. Neither. She walked toward the door. Just prepared. Behind her, Lena looked at the email again. At the bottom of the message was another line. Your proposal has been forwarded to Executive Strategy Director Rachel Whitmore for review. Lena whispered under her breath. Oh wow! Because in this company, Rachel Whitmore only reviewed ideas worth millions. And Daniel Harper had just dismissed one. The office felt different after the meeting. Not loud. Not quiet either. Just careful. People worked at their desks. But their voices were softer. Their eyes moved more. And every few minutes, someone glanced toward Maya Carter's desk. She sat near the window. Laptop open. Spreadsheet glowing on the screen. Her face looked calm. But her mind wasn't. The email from corporate strategy stayed open in a corner of her screen. One line kept repeating in her thoughts. Forwarded to Executive Strategy Director Rachel Whitmore. That name carried weight. Big decisions. Big consequences. A voice cut through her thoughts. Carter. Maya looked up. Daniel Harper stood beside her desk. Hands on his belt. Eyes tight. Got a minute? Several heads lifted across the room. Maya nodded. Of course. Daniel gestured toward his office. Let's talk. The glass door closed behind them. The rest of the department pretended not to watch. Daniel sat slowly. Maya remained standing. He pointed to the chair. Sit. She did. Daniel folded his hands. I want to clarify something from the meeting. Maya waited. Daniel leaned forward. Your role here is support. His voice stayed polite, but sharp. You assist analysts. You learn the process. You don't bypass leadership. Maya met his eyes. I didn't bypass leadership. Daniel's jaw tightened. You submitted a proposal that contradicts department projections. I submitted a model. That's not your call. Silence stretched. Maya spoke carefully. The numbers suggested an opportunity. Daniel tapped the desk. You're missing the bigger picture. Which is? Structure. Authority. Hierarchy. Daniel leaned closer. This department runs smoothly because we follow chain of command. His voice dropped. When junior employees try to skip steps, it creates problems. Maya understood the message. Stay in your place. She nodded slowly. I understand. Daniel leaned back. Good. He slid a paper across the desk. Starting tomorrow, you'll assist the client data team. Maya glanced down. The assignment was basic. Entry-level work. Data cleanup? Daniel smiled faintly. Think of it as experience. A pause. Then he added, maturity comes with patience. Maya folded the paper once. Understood. Daniel stood. Conversation over. When Maya returned to the main office, several co-workers looked up, then quickly looked away. Lena didn't. She walked straight over. What happened? Maya placed the paper on her desk. Reassignment. Lena read it. Her eyebrows rose. Data cleanup? Temporary. That's not normal. Maya opened her laptop again. Daniel thinks I need more experience. Lena lowered her voice. He's sidelining you. Maya didn't answer. Her inbox pinged. Another email. Corporate strategy. Request for clarification. Maya opened it. The message was short. Please confirm assumptions used in your 22% growth projection. Her heart beat faster. They were analyzing it. Seriously. Lena watched her. More emails? Maya nodded. Corporate wants clarification. Lena's eyes widened. So they didn't reject it? No. What did they say? Maya turned the screen slightly. Lena read the message. Then whispered. Wow. Across the room, Daniel stepped out of his office. His eyes scanned the floor. They paused on Maya, then moved away. But something had already changed. The department phone rang near the reception desk. The assistant picked it up. Yes, corporate operations. Her tone shifted. Yes, I'll transfer you. She covered the receiver. Mr. Harper? Daniel looked up. Yes. It's corporate analytics. Daniel frowned. For me? Yes. He walked over and took the phone. The office grew quiet. People pretended to work. But they listened. Daniel spoke into the receiver. This is Harper. Pause. His face tightened. I see. Another pause. Where did you get that model? Silence. Then Daniel's eyes slowly moved across the room. They stopped on Maya. He spoke again into the phone. Yes, she's here. Another pause. Daniel's expression hardened. I'll send the department data immediately. He hung up slowly. The room waited. Daniel walked back toward his office. But before going inside, he stopped beside Maya's desk. His voice was calm. Too calm. Corporate analytics requested the internal data that supports your forecast. Several employees looked up again. Daniel leaned slightly closer. They seem very interested in your model. Maya held his gaze. They asked for clarification. Daniel studied her face. Did they? Yes. A long silence hung between them. Then Daniel straightened. Well, he forced a thin smile. Let's see how serious they really are. He walked back into his office. The door closed. Across the room, Lena exhaled. That didn't sound good. Maya looked back at her screen. Her inbox refreshed again. Another new message appeared. Sender. Rachel Whitmore, Executive Strategy Director. The subject line was short. Meeting request. Lena leaned closer. What does it say? Maya opened the email. She read it once. Then again. Her pulse quickened. Because the message ended with one sentence. Please prepare to discuss your growth model directly with our executive strategy team tomorrow. Lena whispered. Oh no. Maya looked up. Why no? Lena shook her head slowly. Because Daniel Harper is about to find out. She swallowed. That corporate didn't just read your idea. They're taking it seriously. And tomorrow, everyone in the department would know it. Monday morning felt heavier than usual. The office lights flickered on. Computers hummed. Coffee machines sputtered. But something was different. The email had arrived at 7:12 a.m. Subject: Department Performance Audit, Corporate Strategy Review. Mandatory attendance. Entire department. 10 a.m. Conference room. When Maya read it, her stomach tightened. This is happening already. Across the office, people whispered. What's an audit doing here? We just had one last quarter. Corporate must be nervous. Lena leaned over the cubicle wall. You saw the email? Maya nodded. Yeah. Lena lowered her voice. This isn't normal. I figured. You think it's about the model? Maya hesitated. Maybe. Lena exhaled. If Daniel thinks you caused an audit. She didn't finish. Maya didn't need her to. At 9:58 a.m., the department gathered in the conference room. The same room as last week. Same long table. Same chairs. But the mood had changed. People spoke quietly. Daniel Harper stood at the front. Perfect suit. Confident posture. But Maya noticed something small. His fingers tapped the remote. Over. And over. Then he began. Good morning, everyone. His voice sounded smooth. Controlled. As you've seen, corporate requested a routine strategy review. Several employees exchanged looks. Routine. Right. Daniel continued. They'll join via video. The screen flickered on. A corporate logo appeared. Then 3 faces. 2 analysts. And one woman Maya recognized immediately. Rachel Whitmore. Executive Strategy Director. The room straightened instantly. Daniel smiled. Good morning, Rachel. Rachel nodded slightly. Good morning, Mr. Harper. Her voice was calm. Precise. Let's begin. Daniel started his presentation. Slide after slide. Revenue charts. Client growth. Operational efficiency. His voice filled the room. Confident. Steady. This quarter we maintained stable growth projections. Rachel listened quietly. One of the analysts typed notes. 20 minutes passed. Then Rachel spoke. Before we continue. Daniel paused. Yes. Rachel glanced at her tablet. Our analytics team reviewed an alternative projection submitted last week. The room shifted. Several people looked toward Maya. Daniel kept smiling. Yes. Rachel continued. The model projected 22% growth. Daniel chuckled softly. A very optimistic estimate. Rachel didn't smile. Our analysts verified the math. The room went silent. Daniel blinked. Verified. Yes. One of the analysts spoke next. We ran the numbers through our forecasting software. He turned his screen toward the camera. The growth potential appears legitimate. A murmur moved through the room. Daniel cleared his throat. With respect, forecasting isn't just math. Rachel nodded. We agree. She tapped her tablet. Which is why we tested the operational assumptions as well. Another slide appeared. It showed Maya's model. expanded, refined, corporate logos stamped across it. Rachel continued. The efficiency improvements in the client onboarding process create the growth window. Daniel's voice sharpened slightly. That process requires major structural changes. Yes. Rachel looked directly at the camera. Which is why we're interested. Silence settled over the room. Daniel folded his arms. I appreciate corporate curiosity. His tone stayed polite. But the department has already chosen the safer projection. Rachel tilted her head slightly. Safer doesn't always mean better. Daniel's jaw tightened. One of the analysts spoke again. We also tested historical data. He clicked another slide. A graph appeared. It compared Daniel's projection and Maya's. The difference was dramatic. Daniel stared at the numbers. That doesn't account for market risk. Rachel responded calmly. We accounted for that. A pause. Then she said the words that shifted the entire room. We believe this strategy deserves immediate testing. Chairs creaked. Someone whispered. What? Daniel stepped forward. With respect, Rachel. She raised a hand gently. Let me finish. The room froze again. Rachel looked down briefly. Then back up. This proposal has already passed initial evaluation. Daniel frowned. Passed? Yes. She tapped her screen again. Another document appeared. Corporate approval header. Internal pilot authorization. The analyst spoke. We've scheduled a strategic pilot program. Daniel stared at the slide. Scheduled? Yes. The analyst looked at his notes. Beginning next quarter. A heavy silence fell across the conference room. Daniel looked toward Maya. His voice grew colder. And who exactly proposed leading this pilot? Rachel answered immediately. The person who created the model. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Maya Carter. Every head in the room turned toward her. Maya sat very still. Rachel continued speaking. She'll join us for a strategy briefing later today. Daniel blinked slowly. I'm sorry, what? Rachel's voice remained calm. Maya Carter will attend the executive strategy call this afternoon. Daniel tried to speak, but the words came out slower. She's a junior analyst. Rachel nodded. We know. Daniel forced a small laugh. With respect, Rachel, she doesn't have the leadership experience to run a corporate pilot. The room waited. Rachel studied him carefully. Then she spoke again. Her voice carried just a hint of steel. That decision hasn't been finalized. Daniel relaxed slightly. But Rachel continued. However, she glanced down at her tablet. Based on current evaluation, her eyes lifted back to the camera. She's the strongest candidate. The room went silent again. Daniel's smile vanished. Maya felt Lena's hand gently squeeze her arm under the table. Rachel closed her tablet. We'll discuss final leadership assignments later today. Daniel forced a nod. Understood. Rachel gave a polite smile. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Harper. The screen went dark. The call ended. The conference room sat frozen. Daniel slowly turned around. His eyes moved across the room. They stopped on Maya. The silence stretched. Then he spoke. Quietly. Everyone back to work. Chairs scraped. People stood. Whispers began instantly. Did you hear that? They validated her model. She might run the pilot. Maya gathered her tablet slowly. Lena leaned close. Do you realize what just happened? Maya shook her head slightly. Not yet. But she would. Because just as she reached the door, her phone vibrated. Another email. Sender. Executive Strategy Office. Subject. Leadership decision, pending announcement. And the message preview showed one line. Please remain available for an important update later today. The office buzzed like a shaken hive. Phones rang. Keyboards clicked. But no one talked about normal work. They talked about the audit. They validated her numbers. Did you hear, Rachel? 22% growth. Corporate never moves that fast. Every whisper circled back to one desk. Maya Carter's. She sat quietly, reviewing her spreadsheet again. The same model. The same numbers. But now they felt heavier. Real. Across the room, Daniel's office door stayed closed. Lena walked over and leaned on the cubicle wall. You're trending. Maya looked up. Trending? In this office? Yes. Lena glanced around. Everyone thinks you just flipped the department upside down. Maya gave a small smile. I didn't flip anything. You challenged the forecast. That's the job. Lena lowered her voice. Daniel doesn't see it that way. As if summoned, Daniel's office door opened. He stepped out slowly. His face was calm. Too calm. Team. Everyone looked up. Conference room. Now. Chairs rolled back. The room filled quickly again. Daniel stood near the projector. Arms crossed. We just received an update from corporate. A few people exchanged glances. Daniel continued. There will be a follow-up executive meeting. He paused. This afternoon. His eyes moved across the table. They want additional clarification about the alternative model. Nobody needed to ask which model. Daniel looked at Maya. Carter. She met his gaze. You'll attend. A quiet ripple moved through the room. Lena whispered under her breath. Wow. Daniel continued. This meeting will determine whether the proposal moves forward. He spoke the next words carefully. So I want to be very clear. His eyes stayed locked on Maya. You represent this department. The message carried weight. Don't embarrass us. Maya nodded. I understand. Daniel studied her face. Good. He looked around the room again. Meeting dismissed. Chairs scraped. People stood. But the tension followed Maya out the door. Back at her desk, Lena leaned close. You nervous? Maya exhaled slowly. A little. That's normal. Lena lowered her voice again. But if Rachel Whitmore is on that call. She shook her head. That's big. Maya knew. Rachel Whitmore didn't attend minor meetings. She decided strategy. Company-wide. Across the office, Daniel watched Maya quietly from his glass office. His expression was unreadable. At 2 p.m., Maya entered the conference room again. This time alone. Her laptop rested in front of her. The screen lit up. Corporate logo. Then the video feed connected. Rachel Whitmore appeared again. 2 analysts beside her. And another executive Maya hadn't seen before. Gray hair. Sharp eyes. Rachel began immediately. Good afternoon, Maya. Maya straightened slightly. Good afternoon. Rachel nodded. Thank you for joining. Daniel quietly slipped into the back of the room. He sat without speaking. Rachel continued. We reviewed your growth model again this morning. Maya waited. Rachel gestured toward the analysts. They confirmed your assumptions. One analyst spoke. The onboarding efficiency change is the key. He pulled up a chart. If implemented correctly, it increases client capacity by nearly 20%. Daniel shifted in his chair. Rachel continued calmly. Maya, we'd like to hear the reasoning behind your model. Maya took a breath. Then began. The department processes new clients in 3 stages. She opened her slides. Most delays happen during stage 2. Rachel nodded slightly. Go on. If we restructure stage 2 into parallel processing. She clicked the slide. We remove the bottleneck. The analyst leaned closer to his screen. That's where the growth comes from. Yes. Maya continued. Faster onboarding means higher capacity without increasing staff. Daniel spoke suddenly. That assumption depends on flawless coordination. His tone carried quiet pressure. Maya looked toward him. It depends on clear systems. Daniel leaned forward. Which we don't currently have. Rachel glanced toward Daniel. Let her finish. The room fell silent again. Maya continued calmly. The systems can be implemented within 3 weeks. The gray-haired executive finally spoke. And you believe the department can handle that transition? Yes. Even with resistance? Maya hesitated, then answered honestly. Yes. Daniel chuckled softly. Confidence isn't execution. Rachel ignored the comment. She turned to the analysts. Final evaluation? The first analyst nodded. The model works. The second analyst added. Implementation risk is manageable. Rachel folded her hands. Then she looked directly at Maya. Thank you. The call paused. Rachel muted her microphone. The executives began speaking quietly among themselves. Maya couldn't hear the words, but she could see their faces. Serious. Focused. Daniel leaned closer from the back of the room. You handled yourself well. His tone sounded neutral, but the tension behind it was sharp. Just remember something. Maya turned slightly toward him. Corporate likes ideas. He leaned closer. But leadership requires experience. The executives finished their discussion. Rachel unmuted her microphone. The room went still. She looked directly at Maya. Then at Daniel. We've reached a decision. The silence stretched. Rachel continued. The strategy pilot will move forward. A breath moved through the room. But Rachel wasn't finished. This project requires leadership. Daniel sat straighter. Rachel glanced at her notes. Then back up. After reviewing the model, the data, and today's discussion. She paused. We believe the best person to lead this project. Daniel's hands tightened on the table. Rachel finished the sentence. Is Maya Carter? The words landed like thunder. Daniel blinked. The analysts nodded quietly. Rachel continued. Maya Carter will lead the strategic growth pilot. Daniel leaned forward immediately. Rachel. But she spoke again before he could finish. And effective immediately. She checked her screen once more. Maya Carter will be promoted to strategic growth team lead. The room fell completely silent. Daniel stared across the table. At Maya. Because in one sentence, everything had just changed. And for the first time since she joined the department, Daniel Harper no longer held the most authority in the room. The conference room stayed silent after the call ended. The screen went dark. No one moved. For a moment, the only sound was the faint buzz of the overhead lights. Maya sat still. Her hands rested on the laptop. Her mind struggled to catch up with what had just happened. Strategic growth team lead. The words echoed inside her head. Across the table, Daniel Harper hadn't moved either. His eyes stayed on her. Unblinking. Finally, he stood. His chair slid back slowly. Well, his voice sounded tight. Congratulations. Maya looked up. Thank you. Daniel forced a thin smile. A big responsibility. Yes. Another pause stretched between them. Daniel gathered his papers. Then added quietly. Leadership can be difficult. Maya nodded. I'm aware. Daniel held her gaze for a moment longer. Then he walked out of the room. The door closed behind him. Maya exhaled slowly. Outside the conference room, the office buzz had returned. Employees looked up when she stepped out. Lena was the first to approach. Well, Maya spoke calmly. They approved the pilot. Lena's eyes widened. And? Maya hesitated. They asked me to lead it. Lena blinked. Lead it? Yes. A beat passed. Then Lena whispered. Wait, led. Maya nodded once. I'm the strategic growth team lead. For half a second, Lena stared in disbelief. Then she burst into a quiet laugh. Oh my God! A few nearby coworkers looked over. What happened? Someone asked. Lena turned toward them. You might want to sit down. The room slowly gathered closer. Maya repeated the news. The reaction spread like electricity. She got promoted? Already? That fast? Corporate moved quick. One analyst shook his head. That never happens. Another said quietly. Her numbers must have been serious. But not everyone looked excited. A few employees glanced toward Daniel's office. The door remained closed. Lena lowered her voice. This is going to shake the whole department. Maya nodded slightly. I know. Her phone buzzed again. Another email. Official promotion notice. She opened it. Corporate letterhead. Formal wording. Effective immediately, Maya Carter is appointed strategic growth team lead. Her chest tightened slightly. It felt real now. Across the office, Daniel's door suddenly opened. The room fell quiet again. He stepped out slowly. His expression had returned to calm. Professional. Controlled. Everyone. Employees looked up. Daniel walked to the center of the floor. We've received confirmation from corporate. He paused. Maya Carter has been appointed strategic growth team lead. Silence filled the room. Daniel continued. She will oversee the new growth initiative. His voice remained smooth. Let's all support her success. The words sounded supportive, but something underneath them felt colder. Daniel turned toward Maya. Congratulations again. She nodded. Thank you. Then he added one more line. Leadership means accountability. The room stayed quiet. Daniel returned to his office. The door closed again. Lena exhaled slowly. That didn't sound friendly. Maya watched the glass office for a moment. No, it didn't. The rest of the afternoon passed quickly. Meetings. Emails. Corporate onboarding calls. The new role came with instant pressure. By evening, the office had thinned out. Maya gathered her things. Lena approached again. You heading out? Yeah. Big day. Maya smiled slightly. You could say that. Lena hesitated. Can I ask something? Sure. Do you trust Daniel? The question hung in the air. Maya thought about the meeting. The comment about maturity. The reassignment. The warning about hierarchy. Finally, she answered honestly. I don't know yet. Lena nodded slowly. Be careful. Maya picked up her bag. I will. As she walked toward the elevator, her phone buzzed again. Another email. But this one wasn't from corporate. Sender. Human Resources Department. Subject. Internal Conduct Review Notification. Maya frowned. She opened the message. The words hit her immediately. An internal complaint has been filed regarding potential procedural violations related to the submission of departmental strategy proposals. Her heart sank slightly. The email continued. The complaint alleges that standard leadership channels were bypassed. Maya already knew what that meant. Someone had filed a report. Behind her, the elevator doors opened. But Maya didn't step in yet. She read the final line. You will be contacted for a formal review. Her chest tightened. Promotion. Leadership. Success. And now, an investigation. Lena's warning echoed in her mind. Do you trust Daniel? Maya slowly closed the email. Because she suddenly realized something. The promotion hadn't ended the fight. It had only changed the battlefield. And somewhere inside the office, someone was already trying to take her down. The next morning felt colder. Not the weather. The office. When Maya stepped through the glass doors, conversations stopped for a split second. Then they resumed. Too quickly. Too quietly. She knew the feeling. People had heard something. Her phone vibrated in her hand. Another message from Human Resources. Meeting scheduled 11 a.m. Subject line. Internal Conduct Review. Maya took a slow breath. Across the office, Lena watched her from her desk. You saw the email? Maya nodded. HR meeting. Lena frowned. That was fast. Very. Lena leaned closer. Do you know who filed it? Maya didn't answer immediately, but her eyes drifted toward one office. Glass walls. Closed door. Daniel Harper. Lena followed her gaze. Oh, they didn't say his name. They didn't need to. At 10:58 a.m., Maya walked into the HR office. The room smelled like fresh paper and lemon cleaner. A woman sat behind the desk. Tom Garcia, Human Resources Manager. Mid-40s. Calm expression. Professional smile. Maya, thank you for coming. She sat down. Tom folded his hands. I'm sure you saw the email. Yes. Tom nodded. This is a standard review. His voice stayed gentle. We received a concern regarding procedural compliance. From who? Tom shook his head slightly. I can't disclose that. Maya held his gaze. I think I know. Tom didn't respond. He opened a folder. The complaint states that you bypassed departmental leadership by submitting a strategic proposal directly to corporate. Maya answered calmly. Yes. Tom looked up. You acknowledge that? Yes. Tom tapped his pen once. Why? Maya spoke carefully. The model showed significant growth potential. That wasn't the question. Tom's tone stayed neutral. Why didn't you go through your manager first? Maya thought about the meeting. Daniel's voice. This shows a lack of maturity. She answered honestly. I believed the proposal might be dismissed before review. Tom studied her. And you were correct? Yes. Silence filled the room. Tom turned another page. The complaint suggests your actions disrupted the chain of command. Maya nodded slowly. They might have. Tom leaned back slightly. You understand that companies rely on hierarchy. Yes. And bypassing it can create problems. Maya met his eyes. So can suppressing ideas. Tom didn't react. But he wrote something down. Corporate has already approved your model. Yes. And promoted you. Yes. Tom closed the folder slowly. That complicates things. How? Normally this would be a policy violation. Maya felt tension in her chest. But, Tom gave a small shrug. Corporate endorsement changes the situation. He leaned forward. However, the word hung in the air. The complaint also raises concerns about your leadership readiness. Maya frowned slightly. Leadership readiness? Tom nodded. It suggests your promotion may have been premature. Maya felt the meaning clearly now. This wasn't just about procedure. It was about credibility. Tom continued. The concern is that rapid promotion might create internal conflict. Maya spoke quietly. There's already conflict. Tom closed the folder. We're reviewing the situation. And what happens now? Tom hesitated. We'll speak with additional employees. Maya stood. Understood. As she reached the door, Tom added one more thing. Maya. She turned. Off the record. Yes. Tom lowered his voice. This complaint came in very quickly. How quickly? Less than 1 hour after the promotion announcement. Maya felt a chill. Someone was prepared. Tom nodded slightly. That's my impression. Maya left the HR office. The hallway felt longer than before. When she stepped back onto the office floor, Lena stood immediately. Well, Maya walked to her desk. Investigation. Into what? Bypassing leadership. Lena shook her head. That's ridiculous. Maybe. But it's official. Lena leaned closer. So what now? Maya opened her laptop again. Now we keep working. Across the office, Daniel stepped out of his office. His eyes briefly met Maya's. Then he walked toward the coffee machine. 2 employees were standing there. Their conversation stopped as he approached. Daniel spoke casually. Busy morning? One of them nodded nervously. Yes. Daniel poured his coffee. Transitions can be challenging. He glanced across the office. At least corporate believes in giving opportunities. His tone sounded calm, but the words carried something else. A warning. Back at her desk, Maya's inbox refreshed again. A new message appeared. Sender. Corporate Investigation Team. Subject. Request for internal communications. Maya opened it. The message read, as part of our leadership review, we are requesting department email records related to the strategic growth proposal. Her heart skipped, because that meant something important. Corporate wasn't just reviewing her. They were reviewing the department. Lena leaned over again. Another email? Maya turned the screen slightly. Lena read it, then whispered, Oh! Maya nodded slowly. They're pulling internal communications. Lena's eyes widened. That means. She didn't finish. But Maya understood. If corporate investigators looked through department emails, they might find something. Something Daniel didn't expect. Across the office, Daniel returned to his desk. Confident. Calm. Unbothered. But Maya knew something he didn't. Because somewhere in those emails, there was proof. Proof that Daniel Harper hadn't just rejected her idea. He had tried to bury it. And once corporate saw that, this investigation wouldn't be about Maya anymore. It would be about him. The office felt quieter than usual. Not calm. Heavy. Like the air itself was waiting. 2 days had passed since the HR meeting. 2 days since corporate requested internal emails. Now everyone knew something bigger was happening. People spoke in short sentences. They avoided eye contact with Daniel. And when Maya walked through the office, conversations paused. Her inbox refreshed again. A new message appeared. Sender. Corporate Investigation Team. Subject. Interview request. Maya opened it slowly. You are requested to attend a formal interview regarding departmental leadership practices. Her stomach tightened. Lena leaned over immediately. What is it? Interview. Corporate? Yes. Lena shook her head softly. That means they found something. Maya didn't answer. But deep down she felt the same thing. Across the office, Daniel stood near the printer. He laughed at something one of the analysts said. But the laugh sounded forced. Short. Controlled. He sensed it too. At 3 p.m., Maya entered the small conference room on the executive floor. 2 people waited inside. A man in a gray suit. A woman with a tablet. Corporate investigators. The man stood. Maya Carter? Yes. He offered his hand. I'm David Klein from Corporate Compliance. She shook it. The woman nodded politely. Angela Brooks, Internal Review. Maya sat across from them. Angela began recording notes. David spoke calmly. We're reviewing several concerns related to the strategic growth proposal. Maya nodded. Yes. David continued. Specifically, communication patterns within the department. Angela pulled up a document. Before your model was submitted to corporate. She turned the tablet toward Maya. This email was sent internally. Maya read the message. Sender, Daniel Harper. The words were short. Do not forward alternative projections outside the department. Her chest tightened slightly. Angela continued. There are more. Another email appeared. Also from Daniel. Junior analysts should avoid creating independent strategic proposals. David folded his hands. These were sent 3 days before your submission. Maya nodded slowly. Yes. David leaned forward. Did you receive these emails? Yes. And you submitted the model anyway? Yes. Angela studied her face. Why? Maya answered honestly. Because the numbers were correct. Silence filled the room. David asked the next question carefully. Did Mr. Harper ever review your model before the meeting? Yes. What did he say? Maya remembered the moment clearly. This shows a lack of maturity. He dismissed it. Angela typed something. David continued. During the department meeting, he publicly criticized your proposal. Yes. How did that affect you? Maya hesitated, then spoke quietly. It was humiliating. Angela looked up briefly. David nodded slowly. But you remained calm. Yes. And later submitted the proposal to corporate. Yes. Angela tapped another document. This email is interesting. She turned the screen again. Maya read it. Sender, Daniel Harper. Recipient, HR Department. The message was dated less than 1 hour after the promotion announcement. Concern regarding Maya Carter bypassing leadership structure. Angela looked at Maya. The complaint that triggered the HR review. Maya nodded once. David leaned back in his chair. That timing is unusual. Yes. Angela added quietly. Especially considering corporate had already approved your proposal. David turned another page. There's something else. Another email appeared. This one was older. 2 weeks earlier. Also from Daniel. If Carter continues pushing this model, we may need to reassign her. Maya felt Lena's words echo in her head. He's sidelining you. David watched her carefully. Did you feel pressure from Mr. Harper? Maya answered slowly. Yes. In what way? He tried to limit my role. Angela asked the next question. Did he ever discourage you from presenting ideas? Maya thought about the conversation in his office. Your role here is support. Yes. David closed the folder. Thank you for your honesty. Maya exhaled quietly. Angela finished typing. Then David said something unexpected. You're not the only person we've interviewed. Maya looked up. What do you mean? Angela answered. Several employees confirmed similar experiences. Maya's heart beat faster. Who? Angela shook her head gently. We can't disclose that. David added. But it suggests a pattern. A pattern. The word carried weight. David stood. We'll be speaking with Mr. Harper next. Maya felt the tension rise again. When? Tomorrow morning. Angela gathered her notes. Formal disciplinary review. Maya stood slowly. As she reached the door, David spoke again. One more thing. She turned. The strategic growth pilot is performing very well. Maya blinked slightly. The first onboarding changes increased client capacity by 18%. Her chest tightened with quiet relief. That's good. David nodded. It strengthens your position. Angela added softly. And weakens the complaint. Maya left the conference room. The hallway felt quieter now. But not empty. Something had shifted. Back on the office floor, Lena rushed over. What happened? Maya spoke quietly. They found the emails. Lena's eyes widened. All of them. Yes. And they're calling Daniel into a disciplinary hearing tomorrow. Lena stared. Seriously? Yes. Across the room, Daniel stepped out of his office. He looked confident. Relaxed. Unaware. Lena whispered. Does he know? Maya watched him for a moment. No. But he would soon. Because somewhere upstairs, corporate investigators were preparing the final report. And by this time tomorrow, Daniel Harper would be sitting across from them, answering questions he never expected to face. Questions about power, control, and the moment he tried to silence the wrong person. The disciplinary hearing room was stark. Gray walls, glass panels, a long table stretched down the center. Daniel Harper sat at one end, impeccable suit, perfectly pressed. His hands rested on the table, fingers interlaced. He looked calm, controlled, but the tension in the room betrayed him. Across from him sat David Klein and Angela Brooks, corporate investigators. Maya Carter entered quietly, carrying her laptop and a folder. She took a seat beside Rachel Whitmore, who nodded subtly. The room felt heavier than the office. Maya could feel the weight of weeks of humiliation, oversight, and subtle threats pressing down on her chest. David began. Mr. Harper, this review concerns departmental conduct and adherence to leadership protocols. Daniel nodded, voice measured. Yes, I understand. David continued. However, Our investigation indicates multiple instances where you dismissed, ignored, or intentionally blocked proposals from junior employees that had merit. Daniel blinked. I disagree. Angela interjected. We have internal emails showing specific instructions to prevent the submission of Maya Carter's growth model. Daniel's jaw tightened. Maya's heart beat faster, but she stayed calm. Rachel Whitmore spoke next. Daniel, these actions have impacted departmental trust and delayed the implementation of a strategy with measurable success. Daniel shifted in his chair. I was protecting the department. David leaned forward. Protecting it from innovation? Daniel didn't answer immediately. Maya opened her folder and placed it in front of her. She spoke softly but clearly. The pilot program is running successfully. Client onboarding efficiency has increased by 18%. Rachel nodded. Your actions could have prevented this progress, Mr. Harper. Daniel's expression hardened. But she is inexperienced. This model was high risk. Angela spoke again. Your emails indicate you dismissed her model before proper evaluation. David tapped the folder. Your attempt to suppress innovation violates corporate policy and ethical leadership standards. Daniel's hand clenched into a fist. The silence stretched. Finally, Rachel leaned back, speaking deliberately. Mr. Harper, based on evidence, multiple internal reports, and verified success of the strategic growth pilot, corporate has decided the following. She paused, letting her words land. Effective immediately, you are removed from departmental leadership and reassigned to a non-managerial position. Daniel's face went pale. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Maya felt a flicker of satisfaction, but it was tempered. She had imagined this moment, yes, but reality carried a quiet weight. This wasn't just victory. It was recognition of systemic bias, subtle intimidation, and the emotional cost borne silently for months. Rachel continued. Additionally, internal communications show repeated discouragement of junior staff submitting ideas. Corporate will conduct a full review of department procedures to ensure this does not happen again. Maya exhaled slowly. The air seemed to lift slightly in the room. Daniel finally spoke. This is unprecedented. Angela replied firmly. Consequences are necessary when authority is abused. Maya glanced at Rachel. She offered a small smile. Thank you for supporting a fair process. Rachel nodded. The hearing concluded. Employees outside the office whispered excitedly as Maya returned to the floor. This is amazing, Lena said quietly, pulling her into a brief hug. Maya shook her head gently. It's progress. But not everyone will celebrate it. Over the next week, the office culture began to shift. Junior analysts felt safer presenting ideas. Maya held weekly strategy sessions, inviting input openly. The atmosphere remained professional, but new voices started being heard. Daniel remained in the department, now stripped of managerial authority. He avoided Maya when possible, his influence diminished. But the emotional undercurrent lingered. Maya took a moment in the same conference room where she had been dismissed months ago. She looked around. The projector hummed softly. Chairs lined the table. She adjusted the slides on her laptop. Next, let's hear from everyone, she said. One by one, junior analysts presented ideas. Small adjustments, large projections, all considered carefully. Maya listened, asked questions, and encouraged discussion. The room felt alive. This was the culture she had fought for. And while she knew scars remained, personal and systemic, the outcome mattered. She had been underestimated, dismissed, even threatened. Yet here she was, leading with integrity, ensuring that no one's ideas would be ignored simply because of age, race, or perceived inexperience. Her inbox pinged. Another message. Corporate congratulated the team on the pilot's success. Attached was a brief note from Rachel Whitmore. Leadership is measured not by authority, but by impact. Maya smiled quietly. She glanced toward Daniel's old office. Empty now. The room felt lighter. She took a deep breath. Yes, she whispered to herself. This is what justice looks like. Bittersweet. Because success carried cost. But victory justice was undeniable. And now, the office would never be the same. Maya stood, looked at the team, and said clearly, Everyone ready? Let's get to work. The team nodded. And for the first time in months, they felt the future was theirs to shape. The scars remained. The lessons endured. But change had arrived. and no one could take it away.